Hello, beloveds, and welcome to another episode of the Enlightened Podcast. I am your host, Luyanda, and I need to remind you, last year we were saying Luyanda Duma, but now all that has changed. I'm still the same person. Don't unsubscribe. Just do follow us. It's the same person. It's just new changes. But I hope that you are well and happy New Year. This is the second episode, and I was very intentional about who to bring on as our very first guest. It's somebody that you all loved so dearly and enjoyed the conversation previously when we had. Sibu, welcome. Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Happy New Year to you and the viewers. Yeah.
The last time you were here, we were only doing audio, and now we've got visuals as well. So
yeah. Big ups to the team. Eh?
We're progressing.
Talk about growth. Yeah, big ups to the entire team.
Love to see it. Thank you so much. So our guest today is not only a friend of mine, Sibusiso Molimi, who's an accomplished author, motivational speaker, as well as entrepreneur, who's from Orlando West in Soweto. So to becoming a celebrated keynote speaker and the founder of IA Consulting, to becoming, somebody that exemplifies stories around the power of seizing opportunities and excelling. And I think for me, those two words are such big buzzwords when I think of you, because not only are you something that, somebody that exemplifies seizing an opportunity, but also you excel in everything that you do, which is why I thought you were, the perfect person to chat to us today on the HR Deep Dive episode around, effective goal setting strategies for professionals. Are you ready?
Yeah, thank you so much. Look, after such an introduction, I can't wait to hear what I'm going to say.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's like, is that me?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Cool. So from earning prestigious bursaries, to founding IA Consulting, your journey is quite a testament, on about grabbing opportunities and seizing opportunities and excelling. What really sparked your passion when it came to personal development and also then helping others achieve their goals?
What sparked the passion was exposure. You got to be intentional when it comes to exposure and what you expose yourself to.
Yeah.
So this started when I was in high school, and I was exposed to personal development books.
Yeah.
I just fell in love with them, and I started to read a lot.
Yeah.
So a lot of the afternoons, if I was not on the sports field, I was in the library reading. And I was like, okay, then I joined the public speaking club.
Yeah.
So because I was reading personal development books and I was acquiring that knowledge, that is what I could speak on.
Yeah.
So it went from reading to speaking on personal development. And as I immersed myself in personal development, I got exposed to industry leaders. That's where I met, the likes of Vusite Magwayo, Dr. David Molapo, Dr. John Tibani, etc., Warren Sharma. And as I got exposed to these industry leaders, right, I then got exposed to the business side of it. And then I got exposed to platforms. And that passion grew as I continued to see the impact and the blessing that I was being in people's lives. So I think it's important to be intentional with what you expose yourself to. The more you do something and you get on stage and you do it and you love it, that passion continues to grow. The more you're exposed to opportunities and people who can open doors for you and show you what you don't know. So that's my story.
I love the fact that we started off with intentionality, because not only was that a word for me last year, my key word for the year, but I also think that without any sort of intent, can you possibly goal set?
Look, the word intentional, I posted a video the other day that motion follows intention.
Oh.
Right? So the word intention means it's done on purpose. Oh. It's deliberate.
Yeah.
And I've seen this, with the mentors that I get to spend time with, guys and ladies who are doing extremely well in their business. Like, they're really intentional. When they do something, it's not just for the sake of doing it, but it's being intentional about it, and it's doing it because it's going to get you closer to the bigger goal. So it's critical that you're intentional in everything that you do. You don't just do things for the sake of doing them. Once again, the word intention means it's done on purpose and it's deliberate. So there's a solid reason why you're doing what you're doing.
I think when I reflect mostly, especially during this time in January, because I always want to have a slow January, right? And I think during this time, I reflect a lot on what has been able to come to life, where have I fallen short, what can I develop better, and so forth. And I think the biggest thing for me during this time is also then realizing how important the process of planning and goal setting is.
Yeah.
Because had I not done that, then the following January, I'm unable to sort of reflect or measure and say whether or not I've, succeeded or fallen short if I had not done it. So
Sure.
Can you share maybe one pivotal moment where goal setting has really played a significant role, especially in overcoming any challenge or even, succeeding at anything?
So the one pivotal moment was, I think in 2017, I applied for the One Young World Conference. So for those of you who don't know what the One Young World Conference is, it's a conference, an international conference where young people come together from about 35 countries.
Yeah.
And we come and we debate and we discuss solutions to the socioeconomic challenges that we're facing in our different countries, right? So I applied, right, as a South African, and I got accepted.
Yeah.
Now, I needed to raise funds. Here was the challenge. I needed to raise about 70,000. So this was for the conference to go, flights, accommodation, etc. I didn't have that money.
72,000 rand in 2017 was
a lot of money. I think it was more, but it was just, it was a lot of money. So here's the challenge, right? I need to raise this money. And when you've set a goal, I always say it's important to keep the end in mind, because the end of a thing is better than the start of it.
Yeah.
And so there I am, I'm thinking, I want to go to Colombia. No, this conference was taking place in Colombia.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, Joe, I'm going to Colombia. What is this going to do for me as a brand? What is it going to do for my family, my community, for people who look up to me? Like Ndwana Sekas is now going from Soweto to Colombia, right? But the challenge, once again, was this money that I needed to raise. And we speak about SMART goals. So it was very clear that I need to raise this X amount of money at a certain time. There is a deadline. We speak about deadline when it comes to goals and setting timelines on it, right? The T of being timelines. So the goal was very clear.
Yeah.
It was very specific. I need to raise X amount of money to go to Colombia, and the deadline is at this time, right? So because there's power in clarity, I call it the 6 C's. I say clarity cuts confusion, and clarity creates connections.
Ooh.
So clarity cuts confusion, and clarity creates connections. It's important that you are clear on where you're going, like crystal clear. And I always make the example of when you go to a McDonald's or you go to KFC or fast food and you're ordering. Like when you get there, you don't say, I want a burger. They're going to ask you which burger. You don't say, I want a Coke.
The crunch burger.
I want a crunch burger.
Big Mac.
Do you see, the clearer you are, the easier it is for the order to be delivered.
Ooh.
The clearer you are, the easier it is for the order to be delivered to you. And also time-wise as well. People are behind you, I want bafunu, etc. So it's critical that you get clear, because some of us are at a point, I don't know, this is maybe a word for someone, where you're looking on social media and people are moving. Like with and people are already hitting milestones left, right, and center in their careers, etc. And you also want to get on this train.
Yeah.
This is a word for someone. At this point in your life, clarity is more important than speed.
Sure.
Clarity is more important than speed. When you just want to get in the car and go, but you're not clear on where you're going. So it's also to encourage people to, it's like many people feel like they're under pressure. I don't have my goals already set. Get clear on your goals. And so, by the grace of God and keeping my eye on the prize, I was able to raise that 72,000 and head over to Colombia. But it was a very specific goal. It was measurable. It was achievable. It was realistic. You speak about SMART, and I was able to go to Colombia.
And I think the reason why, without, this is a conversation that I also didn't think that I needed myself, apart from my audience, where you speak about, if you're not clear about where you're going, there's no need to then rush and be in the rat race to achieve.
Yeah.
Right? And I think this is why I say to myself that instead of hitting the ground and running in January, I want a slow January, simply because I need that clarity, right?
Sure.
I don't want to be, setting goals simply because I'm feeling under pressure or seeing other people setting or being very clear. So I thought to myself, this year I want to take it easy. I really, really want to do things that I'm clear about. and intentional about, hence that. So I love that point around clarity.
Sure.
And your story is one that shows, how you've set goals and you've achieved them. But what do you think, apart from SMART, have been some principles that have guided you into setting, goals that you may have had for yourself in, this lifetime?
So there's two principles. The first one is growth. I think as human beings, we don't like being stagnant.
Yeah.
And when you hang around people who are doing big things, you get uncomfortable and you're forced then, to grow in different areas of your life. You want to look back and say, there has been growth in my life. So that principle of growth then pushes me to want to take it to the next level. I don't want to be in the same position that I was, come the end of the year that I was 2-3 years ago. So when you have a principle of growth, because growth is encouraging, growth is intentional. Growth requires you to make sacrifices, but growth is also rewarding. We all want to grow, right? So that's the first principle. And the second principle, I was introduced to it by a behavioral psychologist called Dr. John DeMartini.
Your fave. Guys, let me tell you, every time we've ever spoken, there's no way that doctor does not come up.
Dr.
So that's why
John DeMartini. I urge you, I encourage you, I advise you, check out his work. I was introduced to him, a couple of years ago at the Success Summit, and I've been following his work. And he speaks about a principle called inspired living. So what is inspired living? Inspired living is when you live according to your highest values.
Yeah.
What does that mean? You and I have got a set of values that we live according to.
Yeah.
There are things that you do, that I do, that we are inspired from within to do. So we don't need external motivation.
Yeah.
You don't need to go on social media to see someone doing it and be like, oh, I'm going to do it now. You see?
Yeah.
It's inspired living. It's things that you inspired from within to do. I'll make an example. No one needs to motivate Gabza to DJ.
Yeah.
It's inspired from within, right? No one needs to motivate Patrick Masangwani to play football. You don't need to motivate them. They're inspired from within to do. It's an area of your life where there's clarity, where there is order, where you're organized, where you're committed, where you're focused, and where you're breaking records.
Yeah.
And every single one of us that is watching, every single one of us in this world has a set of values that we live according to, right? And so at times when we set, these goals, there are things that that this is not your thing, man.
Yeah.
It's not your thing, this thing. No one needs to inspire me to go for a run. So when I set my goals, my goals must be congruent with my highest values.
Ooh.
My goals must be congruent with my highest values. So when I start at the beginning of the year, I'm not going to go and set a goal about some other department which is either stressing me. No, I start with the things which I'm inspired from within to do. Because I know by the end of the year, like I can tell you now, I must make sure I've got 208 morning runs. I must make sure that I've completed the Soweto Marathon. That means that I'm running 4 times a week. So you can see this clarity.
When are you doing the comrades?
I leave the comrades. I'll see. It's not my thing.
It's running. What do you mean it's not your thing?
No. Kabang 87. After 10Ks, and 21. No, I'm not going to do the comrades.
But you've been doing like this whole running thing and having a club and being so consistent in it for so many years. Surely you've clocked 87 kilometers already.
I've done more than that, but over a period of time. I can't do it over a day. Anyway, back to the discussion. I'm not going to do the comrades. Luyanda. So those are the two principles, and I'm just encouraging people who are watching to say, set goals that are congruent with your highest values. There are things that you inspired from within to do that you don't need external motivation to do. Set those goals at the top. At the top. It's critical. It's very, very important.
When somebody can listen to you or listen to us having this conversation, the biggest thing that I think that becomes problematic is the fact that they sort of exempt us from challenges because we are able to sit here and speak about our higher self and speak about how you should be your higher self, but then tend to think that surely Luyanda and Sibusiso don't go through any sort of challenges or they don't face imposter syndrome or there aren't any fears. And I think from both of us growing up in a township, you grew up in Soweto, I grew up in Mlazi, there were unique challenges that we did sort of face, right? Yeah. That have also then shaped the approach to life now, right? How, or maybe what were those challenges for you, and how have you sort of overcome those?
Yeah, we're human beings, man. We're human beings, we're spirit beings living in a body, having an earthly experience.
Yeah.
We have challenges like everyone, I remember growing up Ekasi, so one, it's not a challenge, but I was teased about the size of my head, which is relatively quite big, and I now own it, because the bigger it is, the more information I can acquire. So I've had to turn it around. So people, my friends would tease me about the size of my head, and because I went to I was blessed to receive a scholarship at the age of 9, right? So I left the township and I went to boarding school.
Yeah.
And it was one of the top private schools in the country, St. Peter's Prep. And so because I'm in that environment, when I come back and work, I see now, because my mom said, now you must learn how to speak English. Now I'm speaking a lot of English, mom work. So my accent is now different. So I'm teased about the way how I speak. I can check my guitar because because I speak differently. Yeah. They think that I'm better. Yeah. Because of the way that I speak, and so those are just some of the challenges that the two different worlds, right? So when I'm in the township, I'm exposed to what's happening in the township. Then I leave. Then I go to boarding school, the suburbs. It's a two different different worlds. And so these are the challenges that I faced. But I had to change my perspective, right? So one of the things is because I didn't enjoy being a Lokshin. Yeah. Right. So I had to make sure that this bursary that I have, this opportunity that I have to maximize it. Yeah. There's a quote that says, the opportunity of a lifetime must be seized in the lifetime of the opportunity. So let me repeat that. The opportunity of a lifetime must be seized in the lifetime of the opportunity. That opportunity that I had a lifetime, because the bursary was 4 years. Yeah. So I had to seize it in that 4 years to make sure that I positioned myself to get another bursary, which is what I did. It needs
to extend beyond.
That's it. Then I got another bursary. Then I went to St. Albans College.
Got you.
And once again, I had a 5-year bursary. So there was a lifetime to that opportunity. And then I made the most out of that 5 years, made the most out of the opportunity, and then I went to university. So it was just a change of perspective to say, here I am, I've been given this opportunity. I must make the most out of it. But also I want a better life for my family. So you may be facing challenges. Yeah. And I remember Casper as well, he had put up a story on his Instagram about perspective. Because we see the same thing, but we act differently because we've got a different perspective. We're both facing a challenge, and one person is going, why me? And I'm going, well, this is an opportunity.
Try me.
Bring it on. This is an opportunity to prove myself. This is an opportunity to overcome the odds. This is an opportunity for me to be the first. The energy is different because the perspective is different. Oh, that was a word. The energy is different because the perspective is different.
Now you've landed us exactly where I wanted us to be, right? We now good mindsets, because guys, we've spoken about the high level goals and everything that we need to do, but it's very important to speak about the enablers that play a huge role in achieving those goals and setting those goals. And I think you've touched on it now in this last question where you've spoken about the mindset indirectly. How important is this mindset in achieving these goals, and what sort of shift do we need to make as people to position it to now be able to be more goal orientated as we now begin the new year?
Mindset. So you can set your mind.
Notebooks, please.
Mindset. There is a quote, I think it's by Dr. Bill Winston. He says, your feet will never take you where your mind has never been. Ooh. So your mind goes before your feet, right? And so at the beginning of the year, we're setting all of these goals. These are the things that we want to do. And so I was introduced, a couple of years ago to a law. It's called the law of thought, which says that thoughts are like seeds. They'll produce after their own kind. Ooh. Right? So a mango seed cannot produce a banana fruit. And so it's critical that which we are thinking about is going to tell the body to go so that we can achieve the goals that we've set for ourselves, right? But the mind then is influenced by what? By our senses.
Yeah.
So what we see, because what we see has our attention. So the exposure. That's why it's important for you to expose yourself to things, to people, to environments that will get you closer to the goal.
Ooh.
Right? What are you listening to? Who are you listening to? Because all of these then influence the thoughts that are in your mind. Right? What are you smelling? What are you exposing yourself to? So all of that is very important when it comes to your mindset. Have you thought about what are you thinking about?
Yeah.
Think about what you're thinking about. And you've got the power to control what is happening in your mind. How? By what you expose yourself to, by what you see, by what you hear. Because all of these then trigger. And then there's a battle in the mind. So the mind is your feet will never go where your mind has never gone.
Sure.
It starts in the mind. It starts in the mind.
What is the one piece of advice that you wish you had heard or gotten when you were starting out? Whether it be starting out to build this empowered self, building your consulting company, building the professional and global speaker that you are, what is the one piece of advice that you wish you had known or been told before you started out?
Before I share that one piece of advice, I just want to go back on the mindset. And for me, you need to think about, what do you think about yourself? What do you think about yourself? What do you think about the business? What do you think about your family? Because your thoughts about yourself and your business and your family and your health will dictate the behavior that you have towards that.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
So if you want to change the behavior, you have to change the mindset and how you think about that particular department of your life. The Bible will speak about, I think it's in Numbers 13 verse 33, where it says, we were grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so we were in their eyes. So if you see yourself as a grasshopper, people will see you as a grasshopper. What do you think about yourself? This new identity, it's very, very important. I could go on and on about the mind, but the mind this is the battlefield.
Yeah,
like
it is a battlefield.
This is the battlefield, about yourself, and the enemy will come and, throw in thoughts about the old you, and but you failed before, etc. And
your family is not worthy.
Yeah. And for me, and I'll answer your question lastly, for me, what has helped me, I'll just share what has helped me.
Yeah.
It could help someone who's watching is spending a lot of time meditating and memorizing and declaring the word of God. That for me helps me. And I learned this from Creflo Dollar, who said, if you want to stop a negative thought, you speak a positive one.
Yeah.
You can't have both at the same time. So then sometimes I'll be like, but my past, but last year wasn't a good year for you. 2024. Then I remember Isaiah 43:18-19, which says, don't dwell in the past. Forget the former things. God is doing a new thing in you. So these thoughts that you're having, you need to counter them and declare them with a more powerful scripture. Back to your question. Sorry, I needed to share that.
Yeah, powerful.
It was in my spirit. Back to your question. What do I wish I had known before or learned before? So for me, it's a mindset of stewardship.
Now you're dealing with us.
So when I started out and I was in varsity and I started a business and wrote my book and I was making a lot of money and I was living my life, man, achieving a lot of goals, traveling the country. But the mindset of stewardship that says that I own nothing.
Sure.
Because if I own it, I'll dictate how I use it.
Yeah.
I own nothing. And everything that I have belongs to God.
So we're living on borrowed time.
Let's talk about borrowed time, right? So I think the mindset, had I had that mindset from the word go, to respect every opportunity, to respect every cent, because I was reckless with money, to respect every opportunity as if it's your last one.
Yeah.
Had I had that mindset from the word go, I know for sure that yeah, I'd be a gone boy. I'd be further than I am in my life. And lastly, it's the blessings will come. The opportunities will come. But work on having the characteristics and the character that will help you manage the blessings.
You know, I need to jump in there because I think I had this conversation with one of the guests when we spoke about recruitment last year. If you haven't watched that episode, you need to watch it. And we're speaking about how recruitment has changed going into the future. And the biggest thing is that organizations will probably in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years will no longer and are already no longer recruiting based on your qualification, but more on skill. And it's mostly the soft skills that you do not learn in varsity.
Yeah, sure.
Right? You can't teach somebody humility.
Yeah.
You can't teach somebody respect. You can't teach somebody people's skills. So organizations are now looking for those skills and then teaching the technical part because those things you can teach. But what is the point of having an engineer who's good at engineering, whatever they need to do to engineer, but has no sort of people skills, has no leadership skills, has no humility, has no communication skills, written, spoken, whatever the case may be. So the world is constantly changing, and I guess it's all on us to say, what are we doing about it, or how are we keeping abreast with the changes? So when you're mentioning that, I want to highlight the importance of those soft skills that we carry as a person.
Sure. No, it's very true. I mean, you're an HR expert, so you know and you deal with people. And it's to say that the mindset needs to be right. The mindset of stewardship, because the blessings will come, the opportunities will come, but it needs to find you ready so that you don't mismanage,
squander,
and misuse and squander the blessings. So you start out and so much emphasis on the doing. Hustle, boy, wake up, grind, hours, put in the work.
Yeah.
And it's the doing. But let's focus on the being.
Ooh.
And the character, the person itself, to say behind closed doors, etc., who are you? So I wish I'd learned that character to be able to manage, respect, and multiply what you've been blessed with. Character. The rest will come.
Yeah. You work a lot with organizations, right? And I did pose this question to you. I posed a lot of questions to you around HR, and you were like, no, I should be asking you this. I'm like, no, this is my seat.
Okay.
I want to ask you around, you work with a lot of organizations, but obviously you work with individuals in those organizations, right? What are some of the biggest challenges that you've seen with individuals when it comes to the actual goal setting / motivation and confidence? And how can now leaders address that? Because this platform speaks a lot to individuals. How does a Nedbank, a Standard Bank, whatever other organization, a Google, Discovery, then house talents like a Sbu, like a Luyanda, very empowered, can set goals, they know exactly what they want and when they need to achieve it? Because we've spoken a lot about the external factors that play a role in how you achieve your goals. And if you're an individual and you're working in an organization, the organization becomes the external factor, right?
Yeah.
That you also need to manage when it comes to when, how, and what in goal settings. So what are the challenges maybe that you've seen in organizations, that people face in organizations, and what can leaders now, especially in the C-level, do to sort of help empower or support the empowerment of their staff and talent?
So in my experience, having worked with individuals in different organizations, I have conversations with them, and it's like, so what is it that you're hoping to achieve?
Yeah.
And one of the challenges that they have is, they don't know the vision of the business, right? Maybe because they haven't been told what the vision is.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know where the business is going, then how is it that you're setting goals that can help you and help the business as well get to where it needs to be? So you walk into an organization and you're starting out as a consultant or you're a receptionist. Yeah. And then you see one of the challenges that these young people are having is, I've got a leader who's never taken time to understand what is it that I want to achieve?
Yeah.
What is it that I want? how is it that I can grow, in this business? So I'm coming here and I've got a vision, a mental picture of my desired future that in a couple of years' time, I want to move from junior level to senior level.
Yeah.
But how do I do that? Do I have someone who's there to support me? Can I study further? Are there opportunities for me to grow? So it's kind of like you're just an individual that's there, but helping the individual realize that they are part of the bigger picture of this business. And when the business grows, they can also grow as well. But it's to understand what the individual wants to achieve. Because then when you understand, you show that you care and that you value them.
Yeah.
So if I'm coming into an organization beyond just, okay, these are career goals, and you know the other goals that I have, you look at how is it that you can help me grow there as well. Because then I look forward to coming to work knowing that I'm going to go to an environment where I'm challenged to grow and people love me and people care about me. And therefore I'm inspired to do the work and get the work done.
I hate the fact that we have to bring our conversation to a close, but I can't let you go without speaking about this, right? So what I found as an HR professional that I've seen a lot with people I consult with, just conversations that I have on a daily basis as I interact with women and individuals. And I don't know, and I think this is really a woman-centered issue, right? It's not a confidence issue, but it's that or if I challenge, I think so, but ngizoba sideline. It's that element this space, is going to be, this opportunity is going to be taken away from me. You know what I mean? And I think that the mindset shift that I want for women, or, especially women, for everyone, is the fact that to be able to see the value that you play and the role that you play within that job role and obviously the organization as a whole. How do we now help women overcome that barrier? Yoguti, I'm scared to speak because as if you don't deserve to be there, as if you have not earned that spot on merit. You may have been there through PE or whatever the case may be, but how can I still take ownership of that role, be confident, communicate, own the space, not be afraid to challenge something that comes from my manager or my supervisor without obviously crossing the line in terms of being disrespectful, and so forth. Because I think that is such a big thing that I've seen a lot of women struggle with. They won't speak, they'll tolerate, they'll take everything all in the name of, if I challenge or if I ask, it seems like this opportunity is going to be taken away from me.
But what happens if you do ask and you're given a bigger opportunity?
Ooh. See how you must do it?
So it's a change. It's just like someone who says, I've got a fear of getting into business.
Yeah.
What happens if it doesn't work out? But what happens if it does? What happens if it does? So it's a process. You come into an environment, you get to understand the environment. You get to understand how the organization works. You get to understand, the you're like,
timing.
I was saying, people who are in organizations working for a business must think like entrepreneurs. Like, an entrepreneur is there to solve a problem and add value. Right? But let me tell you something, right? When you are a person who adds value, yes, you've got different personalities. You may come across as maybe you're arrogant, etc., etc. But people will never forget the value that you add.
Yeah.
Businesses want people who are there to solve problems and add value. So it's understanding the people. There's a certain way that you speak to someone when you want to raise a point.
Yeah.
But it's wrong. But you see, that's where emotional intelligence comes into play.
Ooh, and it's one of the key skills in 2025.
It's key
for success in the workplace.
It's key to say, oh, okay, not face to face. Email. Because that is where she or she will probably respond. He or she will probably respond. But then it's also a way that I can also just express myself and be free, But there are certain things, having been in corporate, you know that you watch from afar. But if it's gonna that's why I always say, every decision, that's the power of the vision and goal setting. If what you're proposing is getting us closer to where it needs to be or where we are going, then do what you gotta do. Because you're not doing something that is so self-centered around you and watch me and it's all about me. Yeah, but Nina Ninja, what. No, guys, here's the solution. This will get us closer to where we need to be. And at times when, it's about courage. When you do get up and speak up, you're giving other people courage as well.
Yeah.
To get up.
And speak up.
And to speak up.
And you create that culture.
You're creating a culture. You're creating a culture where people are able to just share what their views are, to be like, but umsaban. And people who are working in corporate, and I used to have this. I don't speak to titles. I speak to people.
To people.
I respect you. Because all titles do is that they clarify responsibility. Ooh. But at the end of the day, you are speaking to a human being who's got a heart, who's got emotions just like you. But it's the skill that you were speaking about that you need to learn, where you're communicating respectfully. That's the key.
Before I let you go, one piece of advice as a takeaway that you want to leave our audience with when it comes to goal setting as they embark on this journey and start off this new year, what is the one thing you want to leave them with? Additional to everything else that you've said. One.
And in preparation for this podcast, I had so many.
Okay, two.
Okay, I'll start with this one.
Okay.
Keep the vision in sight all the time. Keep the vision in sight all the time. We spoke about, the power. You used to do this.
Yeah. Vision boarding.
Vision boarding.
Write it down. Notebook, journal, paste it, whatever.
Because
let it be clear.
Let it be clear and keep seeing it. So keep the vision in sight. Never lose sight of the vision.
Ooh.
Never lose sight of the vision. Sure. Number one. Number two, keep the end in mind. So keep the vision in sight. Keep the end in mind. That come the end of the year, how's it going to look? What is this going to mean for you, your business, your family, etc., etc., etc. And the last one is be accountable. That one is tough.
Yeah.
Be accountable, because one of the questions which you had asked me was around consistency.
Yeah.
Right? And during the course of the year, after 3-4 months, I want to go time and consistency. But who's holding you?
3-4 months.
Yeah, 3-4 months
ago.
After
1 week.
Yes. After 1 week now, I'm no more going to the gym.
Yeah.
And for me, I met an incredible woman, Mavis Urekers, who's written a book called Managing Emotions for Financial Freedom. Powerful.
Ooh.
And she's taken a career to the next level.
Yeah.
And so I bumped into her at the airport in Cape Town. I said, "You're doing extremely well. What is it that you're doing?" She says, "I'm held accountable. There are people that I meet with on a monthly basis who are holding me accountable." And that's not umuntu lozoti, I'm Luyanda, uyangithi mina ayazi kusolungazi amngani wami asithi cocktailing. These are people who are hard on you. When they say, you listen, because you respect them and you know that if you do what they say you're going to do, you're going to get closer to your goals. So it's to find a group, even 2 or 3 people who can hold you accountable.
I love that.
An accountability group. No money 2 or 3, and schedule to say every end of the month we meet to discuss how are you? How are you doing? Because, things happen. Life happens.
Things change.
And sometimes you lose the energy. You don't have the energy to keep going anymore. That's why you can check in. The people that you can get on a call with now, after 2-3 minutes, you're energized.
Yeah.
So make sure that you keep those people close to you who can energize you. Accountability. I'm creating that group. And then come the end of the year, there's an idea that I have, which I'll share around a milestone dinner, where we just get together, the accountability group, and we just share milestones.
Sure.
That's it.
This is not the last time we're seeing him. Don't stress.
No,
don't worry.
No, I've got so much.
Too long.
It's long, and I'd love to come back and share again. But as we close it, keep the vision in sight, keep the end in mind, and be accountable.
And with that being said, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. This is the Enlightened Podcast. My name is Luyanda, and it's an absolute pleasure driving this conversation. See you again on Monday. Till next time.